Welcome back to We Need to Talk, everybody at home. This week's episode is, of course, brought to you by our good friends over at Manscaped, the best below-the-waist grooming in the world. What a sponsor Manscaped has turned out to be. You can go over to their website and get 20% off all of their products and free shipping using the code FootballDaily20. And whilst you're there, you'll be supporting the channel, so please do go over there and cop something. Anyway, let's crack on with We Need to Talk, because by now you know this is the show that looks at football on the internet over the past 7 days. 7 days that seen absolute scenes for Burak Yilmaz at Lille. Rodrigo, quite frankly, taking the piss for Real Madrid. And Pep Guardiola talking about the pizza at Manchester City's party. What?
We drink a little bit, we dance, we hack a lot. We remember how good it was, and especially at 11:30, 12 arrived 10-15 pizzas, and that was the best moment of the night.
Anyway, today we need to talk about the end of season awards. Okay, we're just 1 week away from the end of the season. Yes! A little break from football for, 10 days and the Euro starts. Anyway, and that kind of means we're approaching awards season in the Football Daily YouTube space anyway. Now, I was going to do a reaction to Football Daily's start of the season predictions from like 7 or 8 months ago. So if you want to see me do that next week, believe me, there's going to be some whiffers in there. Hit the like button. If this video gets, 4,000 likes, I'll do a reaction to our predictions next week. Okay, so I've split the Premier League for 2020-2021, which is an absolute mouthful, by the way, down into 9 different categories in front of us. So we've got Manager of the Season, Player of the Season, Young Player of the Season, OAP of the Season, which is a category I think the PFA need to adopt. We've got Signing of the Season, Unsung Hero, Goalkeeper, Surprise/Shock of the Season, and Disaster of the Season. Let's waste no more time. Let's crack on. Okay, so Manager of the Season. Now, this was a difficult choice, and I'll be honest with you, I still feel like this is hanging in the balance dependent on results. There's a few different scenarios that could play out, which I think would mean a different Manager of the Season. Now, I'll reveal mine to start with, and then I'll explain the scenarios. So I've gone for Pep Guardiola because he's already won the Premier League, he's already won the Carabao Cup, and he's the closest to a treble, not the real treble, obviously not the real treble, a fake treble, as it's possible to be, pretty much, at this stage of the season. I do think if Tuchel wins the Champions League and the FA Cup and finishes third in the Premier League, he stands a very good shot. I also think if Brendan Rodgers wins the FA Cup and finishes third in the Premier League, he stands a great shot. And if David Moyes gets any Champions League football at all, he probably should get it. But for now, because there's lots of permutations there, I'm going to go with Pep Guardiola. I think that's the right choice. Despite a little dip at the start of the season, Manchester City have just been the best team in the world for the last 6 months or 5 months. Absolutely sensational brand of football, and he could finally take home what he's deserved to take home a few different times in the Champions League away from Barcelona. I cannot wait to hear those dickheads who are like, oh, we can't win it without Messi, finally shuts their mouths. If he wins it, but I don't know who I want to win it, because if Chelsea win it, I have to put up with Zach, and if City win it, I have to put up with Kieran and James Wayne. It's painful both ways. Okay, Player of the Season up next, and this is a really difficult choice too. I kind of narrowed it down to 4 candidates, I have to admit. I narrowed it down to Bruno Fernandez, everybody knows, Kane, Salah, and Ruben Dias. And do I want to reveal straight away? Yeah, let's reveal who I went for. Now, I went for Ruben Diaz here, and I just feel like he's been the best centre-back in the world this season. At 23 years of age, he's effectively one of the captains on the pitch for Manchester City. He's been, in my opinion, City's most influential player because I think he's improved the whole back line, the centre-backs around him, the defensive midfielders have improved by having Ruben Diaz behind them. I think he's been the most influential footballer in the league, Ruben Diaz, which is the reason I gave him the Player of the Season award. I could have given it to Harry Kane, 21 goals, 13 assists. He's probably going to finish with the Golden Boot. He's pretty much dragged Tottenham to where they are at this point. But I don't think it's been his best year, and he's probably the closest to Diaz. I think Mo Salah also in there with a shout. Huge amounts of goals. Maybe not his best year either, though. Actually, a little step back, and I think that's probably because Liverpool as a whole have taken a step back. But some of the disrespect to Mo Salah over the last 7 days has been comical. Bruno Fernandez, obviously, everybody knows I love Bruno Fernandez. Manchester United's Player of the Year. Very close. The bias in me wanted to put Bruno Fernandez as Player of the Season, but I've gone with Ruben Diaz. I just think he's been the best player in the league, to be honest with you. Have a drink before this Young Player of the Season one, because it's going to cause quite a lot of controversy, and I can see the comments kicking off already. So, Young Player of the Season, I think there's two outstanding candidates in Mason Mount and Phil Foden. I can hear people already going, well, Ruben Diaz technically qualifies for the Young Player of the Year award because he was 23 years of age at the start of the season and that qualifies him. I'm not counting Ruben Diaz in the Young Player of the Year award. Get over it. He's won my Player of the Season. I'm not having him have both categories. Young Player of the Season, I have awarded to, as I said, two main contenders, Mount and Foden. I've actually gone for Mason Mount here. Love Phil Foden. I think he is a phenomenon, a generational talent, one of the three best young players in the world. However, Mason Mount has played more games. Phil Foden's only started 15 in the Premier League, which I think holds him back. If he would started 30 plus like Mason Mount, then I would probably have gone for Phil Foden, because I think he's technically better, but I think Mount has just been outstanding. I think he's been Chelsea's Player of the Season. Don't think Phil Foden has for Manchester City. That's probably going to Ruben Diaz. His numbers aren't huge, Mason Mount. 6 goals, 5 assists, but nevertheless, every time I watch Mason Mount, he's the best player on the pitch, hugely underrated by swathes of idiots on football Twitter. I just love Mason Mount. So I've gone for him. I think Phil Foden was a close second. Some other contenders in here. Bukayo Saka, I think, is a possible candidate for it. I think Marcus Rashford technically is 23. So a little bit like Ruben Diaz. I didn't really take him into my thinking here. Neto as well. He went off like a rocket, but he's only scored 1 goal since about the middle of December. Declan Rice as well technically qualifies for this, and he's been probably West Ham's best player. But I don't think he's been as good as Mount or Foden. It was a battle between those two for me. And I've gone with Mason Mount. I'm aware that's going to cause some controversy. So you guys at home, who's been your young player of the season? We're not counting Rashford and Diaz because they're 23. Is it Mount or is it Foden? I mean, if you're saying Bukayo Saka, you're an Arsenal fan. Okay, we're moving on to my OAP category. The PFA need to adopt this rapidly. Obviously, don't call it OAP. Just call it the veteran player or something like that. I've gone for 32 plus as the cutoff here. I was tempted by 30 plus, but 32 plus I think is more sort of significant. And you know who I've picked here. I am going to show some bias. I have gone for Edinson Cavani. It did take him a while to get going. Yeah, I'm fully aware of that. He obviously kind of joined unfit, a little bit injured, but since the turn of the year, he has just been a phenomenon for Manchester United. Genuinely, 20 goal involvements at 34 years of age in your debut season in the Premier League. Obviously, 20 goal involvements in all competitions, but nevertheless, is absolutely ridiculous, man. His movement and the focal point he offers some of the young players around him, the leadership and sort of the things he's teaching them off the pitch, it's just incredible. I love Edinson Cavani. I thought it was a bit of a risk at the start of the season. I probably mugged him off on a couple of shows, but nevertheless, he has proved nearly everyone wrong that said he was going to be a panic buy. He is just brilliant. I think Fernandinho pushes him a little bit close here. I also think Thiago Silva has been bloody excellent for Chelsea. Johnny Evans and Kasper Schmeichel were very high in my thinking here. Johnny Evans in particular, I think, has been massively influential for that Leicester team. I think he's probably Cavani's closest competitor here. But Leicester have conceded 44 goals, which is, more than Arsenal, more than most of the top six. So I've gone for Cavani. I'm probably going to take some heat, but OAP of the season. Okay, we're moving on to signing of the season. Probably don't need to waste too much time on this one because it is, of course, Ruben Diaz. I've already spoken about him, gave him my Player of the Season award, so he has to be the signing of the season award. If I wasn't giving it to Ruben Diaz because he couldn't be in two categories or something like that, I think the names that immediately spring to mind here, I think Callum Wilson definitely deserves a shout. Yes, he was about £20 million, but he has single-handedly kept the club in the division. So he is definitely a candidate. 40% of Newcastle goals he's been responsible for. I think Wesley Fofana, definitely up there as well. I spoke about a lot of these signings on last week's episode, of course. Kufau, I didn't speak about, but £5 million, he's probably bargain of the season. Souček, I haven't counted in there because he was loaned last year, so it's technically his second season in the Premier League. Rafinha as well at Leeds, I think is a really good shout for this one. 13 goal involvements, but I am going to go for Ruben Dias. I just think if I've given him Player of the Season and he signed in the summer, the two have to go in hand, don't they? It would be unfair to do anything else. Okay, Unsung Hero. Now, this is technically the title for Sunday Vibes as well, although I think that's something like overlooked players. And I'm going to give it to Stuart Dallas, I think. I think that's a fairly obvious choice. Stuart Dallas, a jack of all trades, but never really wins any awards, doesn't get too much plaudits from the pundits. I think, but Stuart Dallas has covered about 15 positions, contributed quite a lot of goals. I think he's on 8 for the season. He contributes plenty defensively. Marcelo Bielsa must love Stuart Dallas, man. He must absolutely love him. So yeah, I'm going to go for Stuart Dallas. I think Ben Godfrey is a pretty good shout here. Everton as well. I definitely think he's been a superb signing and just keeps getting better and better. I think Jack Harrison also at Leeds is a good shout for Unsung Hero. I think Zinchenko at times has been a little bit overlooked. Even Craig Dawson at West Ham I was tempted by here because plenty of players in that West Ham team get plaudits. I never see anyone talking about Craig Dawson. He's been brilliant. But I'm going to go for Stuart Dallas. I just love the guy. Okay, goalkeeper of the season was a battle between two men for me. It was a battle between Emi Martinez and it was a battle between him and Ederson. I saw Edouard Mendy being linked by a few people with the goal of the season award. I saw Gary Neville put him in his team of the season. I don't necessarily agree with that. Yes, he has kept 16 clean sheets, but Thomas Tuchel's ability to organise a structured defence, has been incredible since he came in. The number of clean sheets at home, I think it's only Arsenal and West Brom that have scored Premier League goals against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge since Tuchel came to the club. And yes, he's been part of that, Mendy, but I think it's more to do with the defensive structure. And I'm not giving it to Ederson either because I think Manchester City goalkeeper is just an easier job than Aston Villa. You're going to keep a lot of the ball. You don't face as many shots. Yes, he's got 18 clean sheets. But again, City have been so dominant. I feel like Emi Martinez has been the outstanding goalkeeper, if you understand what I mean. Like, ignoring these clean sheet statistics, I think Emi Martinez has just been a joke, quite frankly. He could have been one of the signings of the season as well for Villa. All right, surprise package of the season. This was a pretty easy one for me. It had to be David Moyes. Obviously, West Ham 16th last season. They're in 5th place at the moment. If they finish in the Champions League spots, then I would probably have him as my manager of the season ahead of Pep Guardiola. Incredible turnaround given the sort of attitude around West Ham at the start of the season was so negative. I remember tweeting at the start of the season that I didn't see them taking any points from their first 7 games or something. The run was so hard and they were playing such poor football, but he has totally turned it around. He's found a great way of playing. Jesse Lingard was also a candidate for surprise package of the season with his 9 goals, I think 3 assists in 13 appearances for West Ham. He could technically have been one of the signings of the season. I think he's definitely loan of the season. Maybe the greatest loan in Premier League history. But yeah, it's got to be David Moyes. And then disaster of the season, you guessed it, Jose Mourinho. I cannot see anyone touching this. I can't. It's just an incredible disaster, Jose Mourinho. Like, everything that could have gone wrong at Tottenham went wrong at some stage for Jose Mourinho. You know, fell out with certain players, crashed out in utterly humiliating fashion out of the Europa League. Really poor in the Premier League. Not good enough in the cup competitions either. So just a total disaster. All right, so those were my awards for the 2020-2021 Premier League season. As you can see, Guardiola manager, Ruben Diaz player, young player of the year, Mason Mount, OAP, Edinson Cavani, signing Diaz, hero, unsung hero, Stuart Dallas, goalkeeper of the season, Emi Martinez, shock of the season, David Moyes, and disaster of the season, Jose Mourinho. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. As I said at the start, hit that like button if you want to see me reacting to our pre-season predictions. There's some absolute whiffs in there. As I also said at the start, make sure you head over to manscaped.com. 20% off all products and free shipping using the code FootballDaily20. It'd really help us out by going over there and supporting the channel. If you want to watch more Football Daily content, head over to Euro Football Daily Continental Club, where Doogie Critchley and the boys will be discussing something in a little bit more detail than I have today. But yeah, that's it for today's episode. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye.